Hey everyone, welcome to another Reality Skewed Gamers tutorial video. I am Finity, and today we're going to go over Heroic AAT Phase 1 with the Zylo. Now, for those of you guys that don't understand the nomenclature here, Zylo is a Kylo Ren with a Zeta ability. He has a Zeta ability, and in order to do Heroic AAT Phase 1 with a single character, Kylo Ren, you need to make sure you Zeta his ability. So let's go through this and go through how you would use the ability and why it works. One of the common misconceptions for those that aren't familiar with this attack, think that when people talk about soloing Phase 1 with Zylo, they think they mean that Zylo basically does all of the damage by himself in one go. That is actually not the case entirely. So he can solo the entire Phase 1 by himself. However, it is not in one run. Kylo Ren will need multiple different runs. You'll have to use the escape and the retreat functions in your attacks in a certain way, and we'll go through kind of the strategy on that. But it is basically repeated attacks by Kylo Ren and escaping and then restarting. So the mechanism for this is first based on his ability called Outrage. Now, Outrage is the ability that you can Zeta, so you can see that there's a little Zeta icon next to the ability on the screen. So Outrage, it deals physical damage to target enemy, and if Kylo has full health, inflicts stun for 1 turn. And this attack deals 75% more damage if Kylo is below full health. Now, those are all good, but the key here, and this is what you get with the Zeta, is recover protection equal to damage dealt. Now, the recovery of protection is what keeps Kylo Ren alive as you go through each of your attacks. And that is one of the things you'll need to monitor when you're deciding whether or not you need to retreat, if you need to escape, whatever the situation is. The other part of this ability that becomes key is Unstoppable. Now, Unstoppable is unique, so it's a passive ability. Whenever he takes damage, he gains 50% defense, which is great because it reduces the amount of damage that he takes, and increases offense for 1 turn. Now, the group composition for this Zylo attack in Phase 1 will be Kylo Ren alone. You will not have any of the other characters. It'll just be one character as your squad, and it'll be Kylo Ren. Now, why do you only have one character? It is because of the next part here. After you get offense up for 1 turn, he also has a 50% chance to reset his cooldowns whenever he takes damage. So, if he is the only character that is in the squad, he is the one that's going to be attacked by the Phase 1 enemies, which is General Grievous, the B2, and 2 IG-100 droids. So by increasing the number of attacks that he takes, if he's able to survive them, which Kylo Ren should be able to do if you equip him properly, then he will be able to reset his cooldowns and continually be able to use his Outrage ability, which is on a 3-turn cooldown normally, and you'll be able to use the Escape ability, which is also key here. Now, Escape is an ability that is given to you by the raid itself, so it's a raid-specific ability, and it's added to every character that's in the raid. So when Kylo Ren ends up in the raid, you'll see that he will have an escape ability towards the bottom left of your screen, and you'll be able to use that after its cooldown is up. But with Unstoppable, because all of the cooldowns reset, the escape ability's cooldown also can reset, and then you can use escape more often. Now, this is an ability with a little bit of a controversy, so while I'm going to keep this first part here focused more on the information side, after the end scene, there will be a commentary about the Kylo Ren ability and some of the concerns that people have, so you can go ahead and watch that at the end. Or if you don't want to, that's perfectly okay too. But we'll save that towards the end and keep this more focused on the exact strategy. So, the escape ability gives Kylo Ren a 40% chance to escape from the battle. And then that means he can start another battle again. So that is how you get Kylo Ren to keep on attacking and posting damage in your raid. He escapes, comes back, deals damage, escapes, deals damage, comes back. Now, that's kind of a really high-level view of it. We'll go into kind of the specifics of it. But that is how the Kylo Ren ability works. You'll also see that in the bottom left, I have his basic ability, which is the Ragged Cut. That is what you want to use primarily when your Outrage is on cooldown. If your abilities don't reset, then you'll want to use your basic attack instead of his AoE, which causes retribution. Keep in mind, you do want Kylo Ren to be taking damage from the bots that he's facing in Phase 1, because that helps him to reset his cooldowns. So, if you end up killing everybody with retribution, then you're not going to have anybody left to attack, and Kylo's going to take a good amount of damage, and his Outrage is going to be on cooldown, so you won't be able to recover that protection. Okay? So, what we're going to go into now, and I'm going to be very brief on this. For those of you guys that have been following Reality Skewed Gamers for a while now, you know that I'm a little bit of a math dork. For Kylo Ren, because if you look at his Outrage ability, he recovers protection equal to the damage dealt, Kylo is going to be largely based on optimizing the damage that he deals. You want to make sure that you do as much damage as you can so you can recover the most protection that you can, and that increases Kylo Ren's survival. So, there is some math to go along with the optimization. Now, I'm going to show you some slides here. I'm going to be relatively fast on them. If you want, you're welcome to pause the videos and just kind of look at the math. I wanted to kind of give the background just so you have an idea about it, but I'll also make a separate video about maximizing damage. So, looking at some of the math here, what you can look at is either crit damage, offense, or crit chance. Now, when you're looking at this particular slide, what I'm going to be mentioning is that the crit chance of 27.35% becomes somewhat critical in terms of determining crit chance or critical damage versus offense. If you look at crit chance versus crit damage, 16.66% ends up being critical. In terms that if you're above 16.66%, crit damage will usually do more. And then if you're looking at offense versus crit damage with just the set bonus, you're looking at about 40% crit. Okay, so in a different video, I'll go through the details about this, but what this means for you is if you're looking at some of just kind of the general numbers here, what I want you to look at is the last numbers that I have posted here. So if you're looking overall at your crit chance versus your damage that you deal, when you're looking at everything in totality, if you look towards the bottom when I'm looking at just the set bonuses, if you have an offense set bonus and you're about 30% crit, you'll see that on average the damage that you'll deal with a 6,000 damage attack, which is roughly what Kylo Ren's Outrage will be towards the max end, the average damage you'll deal per attack will be about almost 7,600. If you're going to be equipping 4 crit damage mods, you're looking at about 7,440. And then if you're doing 4 crit chance mods, you're looking at about 7,200. So you can see that offense ends up being more critical if you're at 30% crit chance and crit damage or crit chance in order to maximize damage. So to summarize all of that math, in case you don't really want to follow any of it, which is perfectly reasonable, how do you maximize Kylo's damage? So the first thing you want to do, you have 6 mods. 2 of those mods should be crit chance mods. Okay, and that's for the sets. There should be sets of the crit chance set. So that'll give you 5% extra crit. Now, the reason for that will come up here is what we discussed, I think, a little bit previously, which is that 26% mark. With the 2% crit chance, and I'm going to jump down a little bit, if you look towards the bottom where I have the note, an unmodded Gear 8 7-star Kylo has about a 25.88% crit. An unmodded Gear 9 7-star Kylo has about a 27.71% crit. So thanks to Enrique and XR Kun for giving me those stats. So when you have 2 crit chance mods, you're going to add 5% crit. You're going to put them over 30%. 30% is a relatively fair amount of crit to start off with Kylo Ren. The second thing you want to check out with your mods is the triangle mod will want a crit damage primary stat. Okay, 36% crit damage is what you can get with the Mark 5 triangle with the crit damage primary stat that's maxed out. You can get 12% critical chance, or you can get 5.88% offense. Those are both inferior to the 36% crit damage. So if you are trying to maximize Kylo's damage, then you will want to make sure that your triangle has the 36% crit damage. Okay, now this can be of the crit chance set, or looking at the third one, it can be of the crit damage or the offense mod set. Now, when do you use crit damage versus the offense mod set? So, for the other 4 mods, you'll want to use the crit damage set when you have greater than 40% crit chance on Kylo Ren. And if you go back, you'll see that the math kind of works out on that. So if you have more than 40% with those other mods, then you would want 4 crit damage mod sets. If you have less than 40%, like the 30% we were talking about earlier, 4 offense mods will maximize the damage that your Kylo Ren deals on average. Now, there's a few things that come into play and why I'm separating this into another video in regards to the math. Other things that can come into play are leader abilities, unique abilities that give you crit chance, and those can be like the droids, for example. If you have an ability like Wigs, where Biggs gives crit chance to the attackers, and then you have an increased chance automatically, you might want to focus more on crit damage. But for this particular attack, you're going to be relying solely on Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren doesn't provide himself crit chance. So, for this, you'll be basing it solely on Kylo Ren's stats alone. So, for his stats alone, when you equip the other 2 mods, see what your crit chance is. If you are under 40%, you are better off with 4 offense set mods that will increase your damage on average in order to maximize the amount of damage you do on the long term. The one thing if you really want to do is if you want to go with the damage set, you'll be playing around with RNG a little bit to try and get more crits. Now, crits are part of the RNG, so if you want to, you can repeat runs, but you're repeating runs so many times with Kylo Ren, you're probably better off going with the averages here, and offense mods will give you the most damage. And then fourth, of course, you're going to want those speed secondaries. You want to get Kylo as fast as you can because you want him to be able to attack repeatedly, even if he's attacking with his basic. Let's suppose he has back-to-back attacks where he uses his Outrage, and then he has to attack again, and he has to use his basic because his Outrage is on cooldown. Kylo Ren at max gear has 5% health steal anyways. So even that free attack is extra damage plus 5% health steal. So there is a benefit to being really, really fast. The minimum speed, though, you would want on your Kylo is about 150. This is going to make you just a little bit faster than the droids, and that is what you want because you don't want the droids having back-to-back attacks. You want to make sure that if anyone, Kylo has back-to-back attacks. So at a minimum, you want about 150 speed, but you really should be considerably higher than that for more effective runs, and the goal would be to be about 190 speed. This may require you to work on your mods, but again, that's why I have the minimum goal listed there. If you want to try your Kylo Ren, you'll want to see that you have about 150 speed with the mods. Kylo Ren can be viable at Gear 8 as well. So Gear 8 can be used for Kylo, and you'll just have to make sure you're a little bit more cautious about when you're going to be retreating. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the RNG factor. For the RNG, what you're going to be looking at is 4 things in particular. The first one is the resetting of the cooldowns. Now this ties to Kylo Ren's unique ability. Every time he gets attacked or takes damage, he has a 50% chance to reset his cooldowns. Okay, so with 4 attackers and Grievous being able to attack up to 3 times, you would think that he would be able to reset his cooldowns pretty regularly. But there are occasionally times where it doesn't work. If it happens one time, you should be able to recover. However, if this happens back-to-back times, you might end up taking a lot more damage without recovering your protection, and that could really hurt your Kylo Ren. For those of you that are still practicing on these attacks, if you don't know about it, make sure you use your phone on airplane mode. So what you can do is go into your attack, and once you get to the point where you can attack with Kylo Ren, switch your phone into airplane mode. What this will do will cut off your phone from internet connection, and you'll still be able to complete your attack. Because for those of you that are a little more techie, the attack is converted on your client side before it gets sent over to the server. So if you're attacking and you get a good attack, when you get to the end, switch your phone off of airplane mode, you'll get your internet connection back, You can press basically the button that'll come up on your screen to reconnect, and it'll connect you and then send the information about your attack. However, if you don't have a good attack, and let's say even to the worst part, Kylo Ren dies. If you had it on airplane mode and Kylo Ren dies, you can force close your game and then reopen it with your internet connection, and it'll be as if the attack never happened. Okay, so airplane mode is a really good thing, especially when you're still getting used to any attack, especially this one where you're reliant on one character. It's a good idea to go into airplane mode at the start of every attack just to be safe, so in case something bad happens. Okay, so you want to make sure that your abilities are resetting. And again, two abilities in particular that you're looking at. One is the Outrage ability, which allows you to do the protection recovery. And the other one is your escape ability, because you want Kylo to be able to escape. That becomes the second one. It's the actual ability to escape. Now, the escape ability has a 40% chance for Kylo to escape, so it's not guaranteed that he can leave. What you have to worry about is General Grievous's enrage. If General Grievous gets enraged, your Kylo Ren is pretty much dead, no matter what recovery that he's going to have. So, you will want to make sure you start trying to escape before General Grievous goes into enrage, and to be safe, you might want to try around 4 turns left, 3 turns left, even 5 turns left. You're better safe than sorry when you're doing this attack. And in doing so, you give yourself more opportunities for escapes. Your ability should reset every time that your abilities reset with the unique ability of Kylo. So you might need to attempt escapes multiple times. But remember, using escape does count as an ability, which means that that is 1 extra turn that you're not gaining protection. So you have to make sure you're monitoring the health and protection of your Kylo Ren, and then determine, okay, do I attempt to escape again? And if he escapes, my Kylo Ren is in good shape to come back for another attack. Or, if I escape, my Kylo Ren is not in good shape for the next turn, so maybe it's better that I just retreat and cancel this attack entirely and just try again. Okay? So Kylo is going to be a systematic use of escape and retreat to keep your Kylo Ren alive and keep bringing him back to attack General Grievous. The next ability, or the next RNG, is your ability to crit. Now, if your crit is less than 40%, I'd still mention that offense is going to maximize your damage. But there is the chance to crit still. And when you crit, because you recover all of the protection equal to the damage that you dealt, a crit with Kylo Ren helps to recover a good amount of damage, a good amount of protection based on the damage. So you will still want to see whether or not you're getting those crit attacks in kind of those best moments, where maybe all of the opponents critted on you, which is number 4 on the RNG list. Maybe Grievous and IG-100s all crit on you, so you took a good bit of damage, and then you need to recover a lot of protection, and a crit would be perfect right now, and then boom, you get your crit. Okay, so again, this phase is about monitoring the protection and health of Kylo and monitoring the enrage of General Grievous. If you're watching those, you'll be able to determine how to go through your strategy. And then obviously what I just mentioned, the other part of the RNG is how many times you're getting crit. You still want to keep your your damage amount taken to a minimum so that you can use your abilities in Kylo and recover all of that through protection. Okay, so it's a little bit of a trade-off here in terms of what you're looking for. Okay, so you want to get hit, but you don't want to take a lot of damage. So you basically want as many pillow hits as possible, which means you want to avoid those crits. Okay, so what I'll do next is show you a video from my buddy Ranger J 1999, one of the hosts of the Reality Skewed Gamers SWGOH live stream on Wednesdays. He recorded his Kylo Ren attack. So we'll go through that attack right now. You'll see right at the beginning, the squad that you're going to be using is just Kylo Ren. Nobody else in the other squads. So even if the game asks you, are you sure you want to go with only one person? Your answer is yes. You are going to attempt this without a full squad because you need Kylo Ren to be attacked. Okay? So, let's go ahead and start this. Alright. So we have the little intro sequence to Phase 1 going on here. You see Kylo Ren by himself taking on General Grievous. A dream match for the ages. And then all of a sudden, the B2 and the IG-100s come to spoilers. You gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so start with your Outrage. Okay, now you'll see that the dots start stacking up on Kylo Ren. His ability will put a dot on him that lasts for 2 turns. So you'll have 2 dots stacked at any given time on Kylo Ren from his own ability. Now you may get some other ones from the other characters. That'll all contribute to you monitoring his protection and his health. Okay, so you want to make sure you're watching his protection, you're watching his health, looking at his survival, and then determining what action to take. So Kylo Ren here, you see, doesn't have his Outrage up, so just do a basic attack. You see some extra dots now from General Grievous. But Kylo Ren does his special ability, gains some protection back. The dots aren't really much effect. And now everything is back. Now, that is another aspect of RNG I didn't mention just now, which is the dodge. These characters don't usually have a lot of evasion, so the dodges will be kind of random. So it may come, it may hurt you, but the best part about this is when Kylo Ren does not have full health, he increases his damage by 75%. So watch Kylo Ren now. Look at how much more his protection bar increased because his health is actually not full. Okay, so there is a little bit of a benefit to having not full health, although you're still trying to manage Kylo Ren's survival. Okay, so as you're going through this, you'll see that there's little trade-offs here and there that help for your survival of Kylo Ren. But now, every time he's using his Outrage, he's gaining a massive amount of protection. And basically getting to full because his health isn't full. His attacks still provide him some health, so he will get back to full health as you continue doing this. Okay, so you see his health bar slowly going up. The droids now are not able to get through his protection yet. So Kylo Ren just keeps on filling up his protection, keeping his health below full. And that is random. You don't necessarily want to push for that. If you can, that's great, but it's not something you have to push for. And then Kylo Ren just keeps on going. Now, if you are in a position while this attack is going and you guys are watching it, you'll see that he escapes now. Okay, so he's escaped because General Grievous was getting close to Enraged. So you just go in and start again. Now, I'll speed up this video so you guys can just kind of see what's going on, because it is a long time. You do have to make sure you have time in order to do all of your attacks. Okay, and in that one, he just retreated. If you end up in a situation where you escape your Kylo Ren and he's not in good position, that may be a situation where you want to add a second member to your squad just to help with the initial part for Kylo. Characters could be Ewok Elder, Luminara, Barriss, somebody to give him a little bit of a heal to make sure he doesn't drop, because he'll be able to recover his protection. His health doesn't recover quite as quickly. So any character that may be able to help with the health recovery could be something that you use. So again, Luminara, Barriss, Ewok Elder, and I'm sure there's plenty more. If he gets a lot of dots, and Akbar, depends where you use him in other phases. So just kind of keep that in mind. But this is the basics of the Kylo Ren attack. Okay, so you see it's just repeated attacking, going in, doing your attack, escaping, retreating if it's a bad run, going in again, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So that is what is happening with your Kylo Ren attack. Okay, and so I hope this gives you an idea about how to conduct this attack. It's fairly straightforward. You do have to make sure you're monitoring certain things in order to get the best result. And those things you're monitoring, once again, are the protection, the health of Kylo Ren, as well as the enrage counter for General Grievous. Okay, and you usually want to start retreating or escaping somewhere around 4 enrages left. As you get better, you might want to risk it at 3, but if you're not comfortable, do it at 5. Okay, so do it whenever you're comfortable. Your escape ability should reset as you get hit and you're triggering that unique ability. So that would be the method for the Kylo Ren Zeta to solo heroic AAT Phase 1. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you haven't checked them out, we have a bunch of other heroic AAT tutorial videos for phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, so please check those out. Please subscribe to our channel so you can get updates on when we upload new videos. Please like this video if you found it helpful for your Kylo Ren attacks. And for those of you that are interested, we'll go a little bit into a commentary about Kylo Ren. This is more for kind of informational and discussional purposes. So this is going to be a little bit more opinion-based than kind of the strategies for Kylo Ren. So if you'd like to watch it, please stick around. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Now, one of the concerns about the Kylo Ren Zylo attack on phase 1 that people are having is that it was never intended for anybody to solo heroic AAT phase 1 or any phase by themselves. And so people are worried about investing a Zeta into Kylo Ren and having it eventually being changed. Now, this is obviously a fear that you do need to be concerned about. If you're going to use him for other purposes, such as in Arena, and he's a pretty good Arena character, then you might want to do it anyways and you kind of get a double benefit. If you're doing it particularly for this phase, so there are some things to consider. Now, the fear will always be there, depending on when you're watching this video. Currently, Zylo is still available. There hasn't really been mention about any kind of change. Now, me personally, I don't think there's going to be much of a change. Now, here is why I think so. There was a complaint about the Rancor raid with people being able to solo the phase 1 of the raid because of turn meter reduction. Now, they never changed the real turn meter reduction aspects of the Rancor raid directly. Now, Tebow was bugged through the whole time, and they eventually fixed that. It took them quite a bit of time because it was an in-depth change. But the turn meter part was something they addressed when you came into heroic AAT. When you go into AAT, you'll see that the tank had reduced turn meter effects. And even in some of the phases like phase 3, there is a target in the background that can't be affected by turn meter that will basically insta-kill somebody anyways. So there's a lot of different things they introduced in the AAT as a result of some of the problems or some of the concerns, I would say, with people soloing parts of the raid in Rancor that they introduced in the AAT. This goes similarly with the escape ability. Now, even in the game, if you go into the information screen of the AAT, they say that this is a new ability for the characters as part of the AAT raid. Now, the reason I'm kind of focusing on the word ability is because this ability is also going to be affected by ability block effects. So when you're in the AAT, you'll see that if you get ability blocked, and I looked at this in particular in phase 4, when the B2 droids do your ability block on you, I noticed that some of my characters would also have ability block on escape. This means that the game is treating the escape ability as an ability of the character. So, if Kylo Ren has an ability where all of his abilities come off a cooldown and escape is considered an ability, so much so that you can even ability block it, it doesn't seem very likely that they will change the escape ability for this particular raid, especially when people have invested a lot maybe to get their Kylo Ren Zeta to help their guild with heroic AAT. Okay, so from me personally, my guess is that they're not going to change the escape ability for this raid, and Kylo Ren will probably be around for a little bit of time here. Now, when they introduce a new raid, there is a chance that the escape ability, similar to what they did with turn meter effects on enemies, may have different wording. It may not be an ability, it may be an ability that's immune to certain things, it may even very well be immune to ability block and be immune to other effects that help it from other characters. Okay, so there may be some trade-offs coming up. But for those of you that are worried about the Kylo Ren change potentially coming, it is something that you may need to be concerned about. There's no way for me to know whether or not they are or are not going to change it. But looking at the history and how CG tends to make changes that don't necessarily completely wreck the progress of players, they make some changes, and even when they make big changes like they did with Zeta Barris, they refunded the Zetas back to the players. So if they change the escape ability, which they will full well know will affect the Zeta Kylo that people have, I would expect that they would refund the Zetas, and more importantly, I guess from my own opinion, I don't foresee that they're going to end up taking away the Zylo Phase 1 solo, because it would mean a major change to the escapability, and usually they introduce those in the next raid. Now, this is why I kind of separated this. This is more of just kind of a commentary and an opinion piece on my end. It is a concern that people have had. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I know people have different opinions, and there are some people that are, and I understand it, afraid that the Zylo ability will go away, and then you might have a guild that's reliant on the Zylo to complete it. The best part about this is that Jedis are good, I should say Jedi. There's no S in the plural. So Jedi are very good in Phase 1, and they're fairly easy to use to get the 2%. We do have a video for how to use the Jedi in Phase 2. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. As you get better, you can even change around the squad a little bit and do even more damage. The video that we have is posted more for kind of the basic starter in terms of putting together a squad. And Phase 2 is fairly easy to get. Phase 1 is fairly easy to get 2% in. Okay, so your guild can work on that, and since Jedi people usually get Yoda anyways, it's a fairly common faction in this group. So I think you guys will be okay. Just make sure that you plan accordingly. So don't just rely on Zylo. I foresee that he'll be around for a little while, but again, no way to know for sure. Jedis are a good backup option, and they're fairly easy to acquire. So just make sure that you're planning with your guild for kind of a worst case scenario in case you are fully reliant on the zetaed Kylo to complete your raid. And I think you guys will all be fine. Okay, so that's just kind of my Zylo commentary based on some of the worries of the community. If you guys have opinions on what you think about the Kylo, please go ahead and post it in the comments here. We'll respond and we can have a discussion. If you want to have even more of a discussion, hop on to the RSG Discord. The link is in the description below, and we can talk a little bit more about the Zylo as well. All right, everybody, thanks for watching.